Start recording.
All right.
I'm going to hit start streaming, and it should start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tabletop Blacksmith. This week, Benj and Steve, here we are. We're going to be talking about some, things that we've got going on, and also
The world's biggest spider that's on the floor.
the world's biggest. Really?
Yeah.
Get it.
Got him. He's good. He's dying. Slow death.
So, for those of you who may not know anything about Texas, everything is bigger in Texas. Unfortunately, this also extends to the bugs and the bug community. It's a nightmare. It really is. It's so we pay for pest control to get done in our house because I don't like big bugs, and I cannot lie.
Yep.
And all you other brothers can't deny
That.
when a scorpion's in your face.
With the pointer in your face. Or what is it? A stinger in your face. That would have been better. Dang it.
Yeah, dang it. We'll edit that out.
So man, what do you have going on? Your campaign. Let's talk about D&D.
Yeah.
You have your
my
props
goodness.
here.
I pulled them all out because I was thinking, I have all the books. If we need to reference something for whatever reason.
I still
always good to have them.
regularly use D&D Beyond. Matter of fact, ran my first session on Saturday. Only used D&D Beyond. It was fantastic.
Oh man! So do you pay for the premium?
Yeah.
Like I have all the books on D&D Beyond.
Pretty sure that I still have them all from
From
Rudy. Do you not? You gotta check, man.
I haven't. So
I'm positive you do
I would have to look in that campaign.
because I bought the.
I probably do.
No,
though.
you do, man. And so and you have all of them. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're gonna have, what do you have there? You're gonna have Xanath. Oh, you have Xanathars. Well, you have all. of them.
I don't
But-
have like the campaign settings books.
Oh yeah, the campaign settings. They have different adventures.
Yeah.
I mean, they're awesome.
The one
They're
that
fantastic.
I don't have that I want is the Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron.
I have that one, as do you, because I've paid for nothing other than Rudy's, what's
Hey.
it called?
Rudy.
Gracias,
you.
Brother Salinas.
Thank you. We
So-
hope that you're doing well out in Colorado.
He moved to Colorado?
Yeah, man.
What?
Yeah, he got a good job opportunity, and they
When?
just it was 3 weeks ago. Something
Man,
like
good
that.
for him, man.
Yeah, he
Huh.
won't have to work nights anymore. So
Yeah, for sure.
if for no other reason, it was worth it for that.
No kidding. Well, good for him. They just moved into that house. I hope they didn't lose any
Yeah,
money or
they're
too much.
They're at a point. Oh man, so they're trying to. Well, when I last spoke with them, they were trying to rent it out so that they can rent it until they don't have to pay the capital gains tax because they hadn't lived in it for 2 years or something.
They're going to pay capital gain tax anyway.
If they sell it.
Yeah, you have to live there for your primary. Matter of fact, if you're married, both spouses. This is real estate little
Oh,
portion of our.
and we have a licensed real estate agent in front of us. So.
Yeah, but don't take my advice. I have to give them all kinds of like disclosures
Yeah.
and notices. But I'm almost certain that both spouses have to have lived in that house as their primary residence for 2 of the last 5 years
Oh, man.
to qualify. What they need to do is a 1031 exchange, try to take that money and invest it into another property. Now, I think it has to be another investment. It can't be a primary residence. Maybe not, but they should check with their realtor. Their realtor will know more specific.
Sure.
And if the realtor doesn't know, then they can check with their broker.
Wow. Things that we're learning all
Well,
over the place.
Yep.
We've lived here for 2+ years. So
Yeah, so you'll be good.
Yeah.
So but I only ran with D&D Beyond. Matter of fact, I had my iPad out. That's it, man.
Oh,
That is it. Now
that must feel really lean.
It
at the
does. It is. Now look, right? So you've got what, 8 inches here of books that you
Yes.
are using and flipping through. Stop.
Yeah.
And-
Pounds of paper.
And you know what's the bad thing in there? There's no search function, man.
There's literally zero search. Well, there is a search function, but it still involves you flipping through pages.
Yeah,
because
every single page. What if it's in a different book? And here's the thing,
That's a good
because now look, okay, basic 3 books, easy.
Right.
Man, was that feat? Was that in Mordekainen's? Was it in Xanathar's? Maybe it was in Sword Coasts, right?
Mhm,
That's
yeah.
a huge issue. So I always found myself Googling, okay, it's in Sword Coast, then pull out Sword Coast. Right? No mas, mi amigo. Not anymore. And so it was absolutely fantastic. You know, I actually had space behind a normal, well, I had the 5e DM screen, the little 4-panel one, and I had space for a drink and a drink coaster.
Oh, my.
Yeah, never had that happen before playing it.
Jeez. And this is your game out in Austin.
Yeah, my bi-monthly game in Austin.
And this was your first session.
Yeah, it went terribly, by the way. So a couple of reasons why. Obviously, when you haven't DM'd in a while, it's like, whoa. I'm managing everything. Pace, tone, interest, engagement, right?
It's muscles that you need to be working.
It is. And it's and managing suspense is key. Other big problem is we have 7 players, one of whom is remote. He kind of Skypes in or whatever, Google Hangouts, I think is what he does. But that, and it was the first session, which was extremely kind of clunky, right? I've got 7 people, and then I have, and I'm very story driven, right? And so I have half of them who are very story driven, who have given me fodder and information, and they've given me character backstories, right? And then I've got others who are not that way at all. And I got one guy who is a celestial with a warlock, or the warlock with a celestial pact. Okay. And I'm thinking, why don't you just be a cleric? Do you want to know why?
I would like to know.
Because they can't cast Eldritch Blast. That 1d10, that scales up is the best cantrip in the game, man. I mean, you got to think of a fighter. Most fighters are going to be doing 1d8. Right? You got a long sword. That's it.
Well, you could do 1d10 if you
dual
hand the long sword.
But I mean, they're going to. Why have a long sword? Then you'd have a great sword, right? You have the long sword because you want the board.
Yeah, you could get that 2d6.
Yep. So anyway, that was a big issue just because like I had nothing to go off of, and he had a really dumb pact, and it was that's biased. He was playing for optimization and gave me nothing to feed off of.
Sure.
And so I'm not the DM that's like, you all meet each other in a tavern, which is a totally fine way to do it, but
certainly,
So it took a while to get everybody going and get everybody through everything. Plus, being a professional, which is tough, right? So you're a professional and you're a dad and you've got other, constraints on your time. Yeah. It took time to, with all 7 people, because it's easy to do it when you like, let me run through and answer the emails for the 4 or 5 players, right?
Sure.
But 7, like that's just, what happens is I'm just like, okay, I just re-forward it to myself, and I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. That never happens. And so
Even
I had
if it was one person that you responded to a day, that's the entire week. So that's
which is just 1 week, but it's like they have a question about this, and can I modify that, and and I've got some min-maxers who are kind of story driven, and are they want to do things that are they will gladly take. There's almost no advantage mechanically to being a smaller size, right? But they'll be a smaller size for story, and gladly therefore take a 25 speed instead of a 30 speed. Huge disadvantage for sure. Yeah. So it is. I have one who once he was like, hey, look, why don't I just use the fighter feat tree? I think I get like 3 extra feats, maybe is what it was, in exchange for, he's a ranger, in exchange for ranger spellcasting. Are you sure about that? And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm trying to think through in my head, like, what are all the ranger spells?
Yeah.
And that's it's a net loss. But he's like, this doesn't make sense for my character. Part of me thinks that I'm getting like the wool pulled over my eyes, like I'm getting played. But I'm like, yeah. So anyway, it's just a lot of exchange back and forth, and I spent a lot of the time in the beginning of this session just going through and making sure, okay, this is what your character is doing, and do you have any questions? Okay, perfect, and this, and kind of just running through everything, and then quietly going through and running through, tying everyone together, which ended up tying real tight. It was good, right? But
this is pregame or this is during the game?
well, this is like I sat down. We're finally all there playing my game together. But it's not like, okay, great, welcome to Valoran, the game that I'm running, which is totally pirated from Chris Perkins's
Sure.
published stuff. But he, but yeah, this is like during this session pre-starting the game kind of thing, right? And then I think so stupid. I should have just played in Forgotten Realms or something where we all know who the deities are, and we all know what the map looks like, and we all know what the tone and all that kind of stuff is.
Sure.
But that was another, I think, clunky part, like getting going right with that.
Yeah, it's always hard. Well, especially if you haven't done it in a while, to get everyone going during. So was this? Would you be considering this session 0 then, or would this be session?
No, it was session 1, and I'm a big fan of random charts, and so they had 3 nights out of doors. They had a role play encounter, they had an exploration encounter, and they started kind of on a cliffhanger of their second combat encounter. So it was a good, productive night. 3.5 hours of playtime with all that nonsense, and so I was moving at a good clip, right? But I think the hardest thing is maintaining engagement amongst friends,
right?
If
amongst
it's just
7 friends,
and so there's a lot of ADD going on and conversations being had, and just like, it's not my turn, let me blah blah blah, right? And so building suspense and engagement in that much people, especially who are friends, hard to do, man. How do you deal with that?
I don't play with friends. No, I'm just kidding.
It's step 1, I have no friends.
It makes it a lot easier because you don't have any emotional ties to anybody. No. So the game that I'm currently running, we do have 5 core players plus 2 sometimes players.
Yeah.
One of the women brings her daughter, and the other one, I'm not sure how they're related, but she brings another adolescent to the table.
Are you guys playing at a comic shop, game shop?
Yeah, we are playing at the Court of Gamers.
Okay.
Here in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. They have a couple of rooms that you could rent for free, and it's nice. I like it. But basically, what happened was I was looking for a group, and then was realizing that I was not going to be a player until someone said, "Hey, I just moved to San Antonio. I'd like to DM a game," and I snuck in there and I said, "Hey, I'd like to be a player."
Yeah, no kidding.
As a dungeon master, it's very hard to do. But then some circumstances happened where he was no longer able to DM, and he said, "Hey, I know that you were a DM before. Could you run the game?" So
okay.
Now I'm running the game for the group that I was a party in.
So your own world?
It is. It was a world of the person's design, of Patrick, the DM who had to do it. However, we had only played for a few weeks, so I have them right now in the Forgotten Realms.
Okay, where at in the Forgotten Realms?
They are adrift, and they have basically. Okay, so here's the campaign diary. The maiden voyage for the Titan, which was the world's largest ever built vessel. It was basically a floating city on the water. They commissioned 2 other crafts to help defend it and to be kind of like scouts.
Sure.
And so one of these was called the Medea. And all of the adventurers were on the Medea, escorting the Titan on its maiden voyage around this chain of islands, this archipelago. And what happened on our first session was a mist had overcome, and like this fog that was really thick, and it was very dangerous to travel in for a boat, so we kind of had to moor and weigh anchor until we could see again, because we didn't want to risk running into like a rocky outcropping or anything. Well, some crazy extraplanar things happened where this voice came and was commanding everyone to do things, and then people on the ship started turning into shades and disappearing or trying to possess other people.
Yeah.
And so after fighting off a group of these things, the fog cleared and we were all given individual instructions by the voice from the mist. And we found ourselves like run aground onto an island.
Uh-huh.
And it was from there that I basically had to take over. So
that's good. I mean, running a sea campaign's tough.
yes.
So land base is a little bit easier.
Yeah. But what is nice is for the campaign, I can say they were on. Right now, I basically have them in the Moonshae Isles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which are
Great.
awesome.
Yes. Yep.
Oh my goodness! If you have never read any of the books that involve the Moonshae Isles, they're like vampires and fairy lords, and it's amazing.
Yep.
So I have
super rich. Yep. rich fodder.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So they're on one of them that's basically a monster island, and they have just found a human settlement that's it's run on magic, and so it's pretty fancy. But it took them forever to even get to a human settlement. I was worried that they were just going to die being constantly running into things on the island.
What were you using? Were you using like random tables?
No, I had so that first session I had a lot of upfront things that I needed to do and prepare for, and so I basically put in there this group of orcs that's being they're being led by ogre shamans.
Yep.
And those ogre shamans were planning skirmishes to go take over human settlements that were in the area. And they ended up going underground into where there was a knoll cavern, and it was all interesting. But now I'm finally at a point where they got the Medea, their ship, seaworthy again and off the shore so that they could sail again.
Yeah.
And as soon as they did that, they found their way to the northern side of the island where there was this settlement, and they're finally like, oh my gosh, we have all of this loot, but we didn't have anything. Like, we had all of these gems that we had gotten from things that we had killed, but they were worthless because they didn't have any settlement to go to.
You can't eat them.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I've tried. But
I guess if you're a what is it, a Zorn? Is it a Zorn? Is that what that's who eats?
Oh yes,
Zorn
yeah.
eat
The monster
diamonds.
Those they got like 6 arms or something.
They got kind of the unfortunately shaped mouth. Yes,
that's a Zorn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they do.
Yeah.
Something that I am going to use in the campaign that is from 4th edition. It's probably from previous editions too, but I am most familiar with 4th and 5th edition. Is the Dweomer Eaters.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is the older Banff cousin of the Rust monster. Just because I'm certain that everyone at the table, like none of them have ever had to face something like that. So that's in the future for them.
So this is the whole reason you start a campaign on. Well, for me, right? So everybody at that table that I gain, the 7 people, they have all played for at least 5+ years consistently, right? 2-3+ times a month for the last 5 years they've played mainly together. And so if I go and play Forgotten Realms, right, or if I just pull any monster out of a book, they know the AC, they know the button, and it's really, really tough. And so to instill, it seems like some of the same nostalgia that you have when you first start playing. You're like, where is this? What is the Moonshae? I've never been here before. What do you burn vampires, or is that trolls? I can't remember.
Yeah,
is to create your own world. And I think that it's one of the reasons that I wanted to do that initially. Was to build some suspense, and it's just ended up being way more work. I know everybody's like, you should do this. This is awesome. But man.
Yeah, it's so much more
work. It's a
work
lot of effort.
To build your own everything. Lore, how monsters are supposed to work that are different from this. It is a lot of work. And there was a meme going around for a while, and it was like someone asking different authors, how do you create a campaign for Dungeons and Dragons? And then it's a J.R.R. Tolkien. It's like, okay, well, first you have to create an advanced language,
Do you have a PhD in linguistics? Okay, get that first. Yeah, jeez.
He went backwards. He started
Yeah.
with the very fine details that you could skip over till later. But for us,
Yeah, and there's a great outline in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Start with the town and then move out as you have to. I mean, the town and nearby should be relatively safe and ready for levels 2, to 1, 2, 3, and then you build out from there, right? But of course, I don't ever do that because I'm an idiot, and I'm like, well, this and what about that, and who does this, and well, let's just start playing. And so some of it was like I had way too much time on my hands, and I've played D&D for way too long and thought about it.
Right.
So your campaign, for example, forget the world now. Dunholm is, I mean, that's been in your mind for how many years?
Oh, this is 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. That's a lot of downtime, and people who don't play D&D or, they don't have they need to understand this is a hobby, right? This is a hobby that you and I are passionate about, and it consumes a significant portion of our free time. If we're just kind of walking the dog or whatever, like, and this is when somebody stares at us and they're like, "What are you thinking about?" Nothing.
Right.
Well, I was thinking about how the orc married the blah, and anyway.
It's that meme where the wife is in bed and she's like, she's thinking about her husband. Oh, I bet he's thinking about other girls. And then it goes in his mind, and it's like, man, I'm really upset with the way that my villain didn't use their legendary actions that I had planned for them.
Exactly. Okay, so I wanted to bring something else up as a side note, and I have it up, and I need to close this web page, or else I'm going to keep staring at it.
Sure.
Did you watch Critical Role last week?
No, I've just started watching through it.
Okay,
I'm like so 1 hour in.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Of last week.
Of last week.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant of the.
Of the camp. Oh my gosh,
No.
I'm never going to catch up if I know of the episode for last week. Yeah.
So interesting. So used to in business they used to call us the Oprah effect. If you could get on Oprah, then you could be monetized overnight, right?
Sure.
Or you would double, triple, quadruple. You'd explode.
Right. Everyone gets a car.
Yeah, right. You get a car. So what they did, right? So there is this. They had a new sponsor, the Eldritch Foundry. Okay.
Oh.
So it is. It's the Imagine Hero Forge. Fantastic. I have no idea if Hero Forge has been advertised on Critical Role or not.
I don't think that they have.
But this Eldritch Foundry started. I have it pulled up right now. Matan Gilat, right? So whoever that guy is, looks like his kind of avatar picture on his thing. So I assume that's who it is. But this guy needs $30K, right? I don't know where he gets the money. And I don't know how much it costs to have Critical Role endorse you, right?
Right. No, they do have a link on their page for people who want to be sponsors.
But I guarantee you got to email somebody and then verify. It'd be interesting to know.
I emailed when I was doing my Kickstarter. I didn't get any response.
Well,
I'm a very small fish, though.
So this guy, and I bring this up because it's relative to San Antonio.
Oh,
so pledges, he needs $30,000. They are up to $192,000 and counting. I'm watching it count. 500% funded, right? They did that in less than 48 hours.
Yeah.
Now, I think I need to check. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's all or nothing. They're based out of New Jersey. So what's interesting is I think they started the same night as Critical Role. And I think one of them tweeted and blah, blah, blah. And then they went live on Critical Role. And I looked it up, right? I mean, I've got Critical Role up. They're going through the rest of the advertisers and announcements. So I pull it up. I look up on Kickstarter, right? It is awesome, right? The interface is way cooler than Hero Quest or Hero Forge. Okay, I'm sorry. Nothing is cooler than Hero Quest.
Nothing.
It is the best game ever.
And anyone who also thinks otherwise is wrong. Look at the muscularity.
The interface, the user interface is way more. I mean, I'll show it to you, right? I don't think we can show it online. But that's the interface, right? And they all have these cool bases. See those bases? Well, those bases
even looks like the interface looks like the Neverwinter creation, character creation screen.
Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. So they've got these bases, and the bases are all different conditions. Now, I don't know, but I think you can spin it. So whatever your character is facing,
there's
they're
a dot
grappled,
on
they're
the front.
petrified. Yeah.
So whatever's there is what you are.
Now my thought was, what if you're concentrating and then
Oh, yeah.
something or what be grappled, whatever. But
Just
you can
choose one.
definitely be poisoned and restrained. What do
Yeah.
you do then? Anyway, so super cool, right? And it is absolutely fascinating. Although they're alien, they look kind of their elves look alien, which maybe all
Sure.
elves look alien when they're bald. After I saw that, I was like, maybe that's
They were, yeah. I mean, no, it's an artist's rendition.
Mm.
It's their take on the elf culture.
maybe. So anyway,
I haven't looked at it, so I would need to.
so check it out, Eldritch Foundry, fascinating. Obviously, I think Critical Role ended up their Kickstarter for Vox Machina's
10 million.
No, it was over 11. I think they were close to 12 million. And then they pay whatever funding to get onto this, right? And it's awesome.
Oh my
Now,
gosh,
before they
that's
do
amazing.
that, check this out, bro. How cool is this? Word up to San Antonio. So this is where they're at, right? So I'm sure nobody cares. So they've got their main goal 30K, stretch goal 50, 65, 100. They're at their 150K stretch goal. That means we get mounts. Okay, tiny races. So pixies, fairies.
Yeah.
What else is tiny? I wonder if you could probably do a cat, right? Cat or tiny.
Cats are
So,
tiny rats.
Steampunk version. Then you've got Animalkin, Eldritch Foundry art book, the Bits box. That would be really helpful because you're always kind of knocking. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
And then detachable familiars you can take out because
that's
heavens
awesome.
knows as a DM is nothing cooler than killing a familiar because it does count as an X. But check this out. That's really awesome. Look at that
Oh, my.
spiritual weapon.
That's humongous.
Hold on. Who we are. Now check this out, Benji. Who cares? Nobody it's just you and I talking anyway. No one's listening. Bam.
Night what?
What? Look at that.
Hey.
Night's Watch, our local game hunt, right? Eldritch Foundry loves the tabletop role-playing community. And, can I read this?
Yeah.
Okay. And acts on it with a business model that is geared toward helping your local gaming stores thrive. We incentivize foot traffic by offering shipping. If you send your avatar to your local gaming store, we share every mini sale made with store grounds, and for every mini sent to stores. Retailers, feel free to reach out, contact us, and purchase them. Our partner flags, right?
Right. Friendly local gaming store.
Night's Watch Games numero uno.
Oh my
Boop, boop,
goodness,
boop.
that's fantastic.
Brenda and I don't remember how to say his last name.
Porrick.
Porrick.
Well, that's his first name.
Mulgrew.
Mulgrew is their last name.
So, but then they've got another one here. But isn't that awesome, dude?
Oh man.
Word to your mother. How cool
I'm
is
gonna have
that?
to look that up.
Yeah,
because
man.
I love the Night Watch community.
Fantastic.
And so that's so they partnered with them to be able to do it.
Yeah,
I've seen their tweets. I didn't realize it was Eldritch Foundry.
Yeah, so I was talking to one of my only I love Night's Watch game. It is fantastic. The ambiance, what they do. Yeah, that you do pay to use their games or use their rooms.
Use their rooms that are hooked up.
How fetching cool are their rooms? They've got well-made terrain.
Yeah.
It's very ambiance. You've got swords and helmets and stuff on the wall. It's always quiet. They can manage the temperature.
They did soundproof them. So.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh. And then, you've got this. My only big thing is all I need, right, is one rounder with all of my comics. I mean, I subscribe to like 4 or 5 comics a month.
Yeah.
And I've subscribed to as many as like 12 a month, and I've subscribed to as few as like 3 a month, and that's all I want. And all I need them is just one rounder, so just get my freaking comic books, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I was at my comic book store and I was talking to him, and this kind of thing, this commitment by online virtual stores, right? So your Kickstarter, for example, and your commitment to growing that friendly local gaming store. You have a game right now because there was
a place to play. Yeah.
That sold the gear and everything else. And you can get it way, way cheaper. But I think this kind of stuff, man, you really could create a renaissance. And I think people, especially, we talked about this last week with the recording that didn't record. Maybe if somebody could read lips, it would have worked. People really want to reach out, man. They want to reach out. They want to connect. That's a big deal, man. Anyway, amazing. Anybody who does anything related to nerd stuff should advertise on D&D Beyond.
You should absolutely.
Or not on D&D Beyond,
try
but
it. even
Critical Role.
even if it's a lot of money up front, it will pay you dividends.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, Critical Role has done such a good job of creating just a community of D&D players
Yeah.
and expanding the community.
Well, and so I've watched what other podcasts video streams do you watch of people playing D&D like Critical Role?
I've been keeping up with Matt Colville's game with the Chain of Acheron. And there was one other that I was watching.
$11.4 million is where Critical Role stopped.
Oh my gosh.
So what makes them so successful? So Matt Colville, super dynamic, but what makes them so successful is they are voice actors. Right?
Right.
They don't even know the rules that well.
Yeah, and it proves you don't need to know the rules in order to play the game and have fun.
Yeah, but they're voice actors. That it gives it some real. I think they understand the role play aspect of it.
Right. They all have experience doing improv, or at least going to improv classes.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. And you can tell because when they make subtle jokes that are breaking the fourth wall, they'll always mention them. They'll be like, you're supposed to use yes and or something.
Yeah.
For their prompts.
I just think that's anyway, that's one of the reasons that I think they're so successul.
Yeah,
so.
no, I love them. So getting back to your
campaigns.
session.
Oh, yeah. It'll get better. It won't get worse.
And that's one of the best things. Even if you do a horrible job, everyone's having a good time, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
So that's the thing. How do you have that? How do you have all of those people have that much fun? How do you have that many people stay engaged in the game, man?
I have been because I've been doing it for years now, on a weekly basis. I have been able to start paying attention to background things where I'll notice that these three people have been dominating everything.
Yeah.
And so instead of me giving an open prompt, I will specifically prompt one of the people who is not being engaged.
Yep.
Or if it's a place where they're like split attention and everything, I'll make sure that the people who have been getting a lot of attention, I just kind of fade away and start giving more attention over there. And it's engaging to do that because then they are paying attention to what's going on with the other people as well, because it's still relevant and pertinent to them.
Yeah.
But I think that by reaching out to those others that are there, it's hard to explain, and I don't know any other way than just by continuing the process of being a dungeon master to really get a handle on that.
So
practice.
Without a doubt. And so one of the things that I'm using right now, and it was kind of like piecemeal in the beginning because you have to bring everything together and provide a story, providing some kind of context to the world, all that kind of stuff in the first session. But going forward, I'm using a fantastic adventure. I can say the name, right?
Sure.
An epic mini quest dungeon module, The Mad Manor of Astabar, an adventure for characters levels 1 through 3 that I found on, I think I paid for it actually, on Dungeon Masters Guild.
Oh, okay.
Written by David Dudka, Dudka. Fantastic.
Good job, Dudka.
Right? Fantastic adventure, great storyline, but and it is nice as a first level, kind of an entry level game because they're contained inside of the manor. Yeah. Now, what I am worried about is great story, fantastic. How do you, with this scenario, how do you manage the pace when it's managed by room, right?
Right.
And so now they're stuck in a 20 by 20, a 10 by 30, a 10 by 10 room or hall, and I've got these characters, right, running around who understand their role in the party. I'm a thief. We've checked for traps. We've, secret doors. I'm done. The fighter has nothing to do. The wizard is reading the wall, and everybody else is eating chips. So what do you do, right? So how do you do that with a great, even as a backbone, right?
Yeah.
A great module with a large group.
So
prone to distraction.
Right. Pre-made modules are a lot. I mean, it's a different beast to handle than just having an open, let's do whatever we want today. I
Yeah.
have no idea what's going to happen. But you have everything planned out. You know what's going to be in several rooms from now.
Yeah.
If they go from here to there, then you can try and slow them down by doing something. I think for fighters, for people who are, their characters mechanically don't have many things to do. If you look, well, okay, so there's a couple of things that I would do. I would look at their character to see if there's anything from their background or if there's any additional skills that they are trained in that make their character different than your vanilla human or dwarf fighter who I'm just here to hit things. Like, that's all I want to do. I just want to... I want to pick heavy things up and I want to put them down.
Sure. Yeah.
So if I find something in their background that gives them a unique perspective on this room or something like that, I'll mention, okay, your character is noticing this with your passive perception that these people aren't picking up on because you can read Dwarven and they can't for whatever reason. So there's arsenal. I mean, that's something that's awesome with 5th edition that was not in 4th edition when I was learning, which was your character has mechanics for their background that are built into them. So as a dungeon master, you can try and take those and use them. The other thing that I would do would be to plan a unique scenario where everyone is going to have to be involved. So the thief has to look for traps. He has to disable traps. Wizard has to solve some arcane riddle that's there, or has to use their magic in some way to manipulate objects or something like that. And while that's happening, something physically is engaging the party. It could be a trap. The walls are closing. Now the fighter has to push back on the trap. They have to stop. They have to hold the door as goblins are trying to come in through something.
I like it.
There could be, you can use the different party members and plan a scenario where these people are not going to be able to do something.
It's still turn-based, though.
Yes, it is still turn-based, but everyone would at least have something that they're supposed to be focusing on and doing.
Yeah.
And if you have it...
And maybe without the aid of other people, that might be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. The wizard has to solve this problem quicker. Yeah.
You also have to be careful. If it's a deadly encounter, if one person dies immediately, everyone is going to die.
A little bit. Okay, door's open. All right, riddle's not getting solved.
I got my side finished.
Yeah.
What happened over there? And something that is interesting with that also, I have done this before, which was I had a party member who was a thief, and he would blow through locks and everything like that.
Yeah.
So what I did to engage everyone else while this was happening was I had this challenge where I grabbed Jenga and I pulled it out and I said, okay, this is you physically manipulating this difficult lock. You already rolled really high, which means you only need to get this many tiers built on Jenga. While you're doing that, the fighter is going to start fighting these people, and the wizard is going... Yeah, so I gave them each something to do that brought them... That they were all working on the same thing simultaneously.
Yeah.
But it made this great scenario where the fighter was saying to the rogue, like in character, like, "You gonna hurry it up over there?" And he was like, "This is not as easy as it looks." And I could just imagine them, like their characters physically in that scene, like the fighter being impatient with the rogue and "Come on, don't do that." So it was unique, and it was fun. It was again part of my open world concept where we don't always know what's going to happen, but I did prepare that for that scenario because I knew that it was going to be heavy trap finding and I didn't want it to get bogged down.
So what about using like the 5-room dungeon as an approach? Because the open world, I know is something you're fond of. You think about the 5-room dungeon running in big groups who are prone to distraction, right? And side conversation. You can obviously talk to them and stuff, but at the same time, I sort of disagree with that that approach, because part of the reason we're all there is for social interaction, right?
Sure.
And the the one of the things I do worry, or I think maybe would work is the 5-room dungeon where you have a combat, you have a puzzle, you have I forget what it is, role play, you have an exploration, and each of these is an opportunity to shine. It's an organized way to do what you were talking about before, but to engage everyone at the same time is difficult in an initiative scenario. You know what I mean? I wonder, there was I think, man, was it Mike Merles? He has an alternative system of initiative.
Yes.
Are you familiar with it?
It's class-based.
Okay, so what is that one? I wonder if that would work. What is it like?
So it's based on your class. So it's not, you don't roll for initiative. Your fighters will go first, your ranged characters will go next, and then your spellcasters will go last.
Oh, no. Is it based on class or what you want to do? I think you have to declare what you want to do.
Yes, yeah, it is what you want to do.
That's
because that's a good point. It is based on what you can do, because there's a lot of magic and possibilities for all the classes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you want, and you do declare, you declare what you're going to do, and then that's what determines what order you're going in.
Yeah.
Also for the enemies as well.
Yeah.
Because it takes a little bit longer for a wizard to cast a spell than it does for a fighter to just swing a sword. Which is.
I wonder if that would help engage. Well, I'm trying to think through. I guess I should just think.
I think it certainly speeds up the beginning of combat, where you're just trying to determine what order everyone's going in, and that can speed that up a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess in a real scenario, you should have everybody paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
And maybe maybe our group is just in some really bad habits. That might be it.
It could be. I always take it personally.
Do you really?
It's.
I don't take it personally.
Like I try to think of it more as the flock does not get lost, the shepherd loses the flock. So as a dungeon master, I should be trying to do something to engage them or to reach out to people who aren't doing as much. But that's probably
to be honest, that's probably the only thing you can do is, look, the only other option, the only thing you really can control is your response to things.
Right.
And the only thing you really can improve upon directly anyway. You can help and coach and whatever, but the only thing you can actually do better is to think through, okay, this person has this issue, and so I need to come prepared with blocks of Jenga or something like that. That's actually a really good point, and I wouldn't disagree to a large degree. Yeah,
and I have had situations come up where there were players at the table who were it was giving other players a negative experience at the table, so I thought about how I can handle that, and then now I've adjusted my behavior to be able to curtail some of the outbursts of the individual. He would try to play for other people's characters. He's like, no, you shouldn't do that because this is more to ideal. He's a power gamer, so he wants this tactical situation to be as ideal as it can be.
Sure.
And people make mistakes or they forget how their character works, and that happens.
Or they actually choose to play like their character.
Right. Which is how I would play.
Yeah, it's exactly what I would do too.
Benj would play.
Yeah, those are some good. I think one practice, right? Practice and getting in comfortability, and then also I think having some things prepared on, kind of in the background, right? A toolbox specific to those players that might actually work really well.
What I have seen just watching Matt Mercer play as Dungeon Master is I can tell that he will prepare an encounter. He will do a very good job of preparing that encounter.
Yeah.
And then it will somehow make its way into the evening. And the players will play. They'll do whatever they want. They do crazy stuff, and you can tell if you're watching and you have played long enough, you're like, he had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
For example, the fight with Vecna at the top of the tower.
Yep.
Well, Keyleth had Earthquake and cast Earthquake and shattered the entire tower. that they were standing on. And so I could see it in his eyes, just like the moment he was just like, I already have the whole top of the encounter already like prepared. My dwarven forge pieces in the other
I need to go
room.
back and watch that session from season
It's
1.
when Rogue dies.
Oh,
Spoiler alert.
bloody blue blah blah.
He's flying up
Liam.
and he gets killed.
Oh,
Falls to the
Vax.
ground. He dies. Like that is that encounter, because the top of this, he did a dungeon master trick, which was the tower's destroyed. You're no longer going to go through the tower that I prepared.
Yeah.
But the big fight, the boss fight that I have planned out, slowly levitates down to the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's actually a really genius idea.
Yeah.
Because he already had that all prepared. And it's, it's strong magic. He could hand wave that and make it work with Vecna.
For sure.
That's where the ritual was going down, where he was trying to become, a god. So that whole, that would have, as players, they would have destroyed the encounter that he had prepared.
Yeah.
But because he's an experienced dungeon master, okay, they're going to make it here. I'm going to make them fight on this. It's going to happen.
So that's something that's interesting, because obviously they really could have died. Somebody did die, right?
Yeah.
They absolutely, and a couple of times they've been in like TPK like close, but maybe when you don't have a situation like that, because that gets exhausting and terrifying, and then your players don't want to play with you because they're terrified of you. Maybe how do you? I wonder if you could make the game go faster, speed up the game, so that things are happening at a quicker clip. That might be. I mean, so I can drive to your house,
Right.
the speed limit, and I'm like, how did I get here?
We always recommend that you drive the speed limit.
But in a theoretical world, what if I was speeding, right? And I'm going to pay very close attention to everything around me the faster I go, right? And so that's just kind of one of the tricks that you'll do if.
That's a good
so
point.
in college, right? So
There has to be some psychological term for that.
yeah, there has to be. But in college, I had to read a ton for my degree in Russian language and literature, which is a super useful degree. But you read a ton, and one of the things I realized is, I've got to read for content. I need to be slow and methodical and blah, blah, blah. That's how I would read. I learned that's how I read for enjoyment. When I read for content, the faster I read to a certain point, the more I'm retaining, because I'm paying attention to everything that's going on, right? And I wonder if there's a way to do that. And you could do it with an exploration encounter. Time is another key component. Like, this is a time deal. It has to happen in this many turns or else.
Yeah,
that might do it. Have you ever put a time or a stopwatch on a player's turn in an initiative?
The only time I used a timer was because a dungeon was collapsing.
Yeah.
And then they had to get out of the dungeon or else.
Yeah. Because I can see that being and I can see that being a real issue with being, real time being equated to game time and blah blah. No, that's not how it works. And I can see some rules lawyers getting really frustrated at that.
Yeah. No, it has to be done in the right way. Otherwise, people are going to be really frustrated.
Oh, for sure. And then
they'll be like, "Why did you throw those last 3 ogres at us?" Well, because I wanted to kill all of you.
So, and my thought, right, is like, well, I didn't make the absolute best decision in that role and in that turn and in that encounter. And the reality is you wouldn't have. Right? There's all this going along. You don't know what maybe 3 of the people you can't even see. They're not even in your line of sight. They're not in your peripheral. You don't know. You don't make the best decision. You cast the wrong spells sometime.
Yeah.
You forget to, add a multiplier. I did it with, I swung the sword with 2 hands. Nah, man. Yeah. We're moving. Next time, hopefully you can get to it. But I get that. I mean, that's tough to...
I basically
took to decide.
The idea for the timer, I took that from Final Fantasy 3, which there's this world-ending event, and you have to get off the mountain, and you have 6 minutes. And so there's things that you fight in that 6 minutes, and you're like, oh my gosh, we got to get through this. And so I always made it to the point where they could run away pretty easily, or rocks fall, and something happens. So like I kept a pace so that I knew that if they were at this point and they were still fighting this person, they might not be able to make it. So then I would roll every turn just to see if rocks would fall and kill the people who were in the way and stuff.
So, okay. So what about, maybe this is something to kind of just wrap up a topic on, or the podcast on, but if you have like DC level, CR, I think
right.
it's called in 5e, but
well, there's still difficulty checks.
Well, I'm talking about monster encounters and stuff, and so which usually I don't ever even kind of worry about, but it was interesting. So rolling on a random table, right? There's 7 adventurers, a lot when it comes to with bounded accuracy, 5th edition rules mechanic key. You've got it basically the way it works out, right? Is the people with the side with the most turns is usually going to win. And so they roll a random encounter. It was a CR2 ogre. It's just a, cream of the, just a real vanilla yogurt. Or ogre.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, so, but I'm like, man, he's got 59 hit points. I know, like, the highest hit point any one of those characters has is 12 hit points. I'm thinking, goodness, this could be very bad, And they killed him before his initiative turn went. Right? And so I'm thinking, geez, okay. And so they go through a couple other scenarios, and the cliffhanger we end on is this beast dog thing that's approaching them in this kind of enclosed area that they can't run away from. Well, I'm looking at them as CR2, and I'm like, well, that's going to suck. And so I'm thinking about waving the wand and saying, it's a CR9 or something.
Sure.
Right, to challenge them.
But I don't ever use the stats that are in the monster manual. I use it as a guide.
Well, do you like the stats for the specific monster or the CR?
I guess it's both.
Yeah.
Because
so level 2, is because I hate levels 1, 2, and 3 because they're boring. So I kind of just like, once you survive a session, good for you.
Level up.
Yep. I can use different monsters.
All we did was talk to a lady in town.
Yeah.
She was a very important lady.
Yeah, you don't understand. You made a lot of saves. So what would you use for 7 players, all experienced, right? Level 2, what do you do?
I would use probably terrain features to break them apart.
Okay.
I would use somebody who has controlling magic.
Uh-huh.
That was another thing with 4E that I took, which was like warlords. People, this person has a special ability. He is going to inspire this person who's going to take an extra attack on his turn. Or this person is doing this because special ability. And that, for me, has been able to make it so that when the players just feel like they're steamrolling everything, or if things are getting bogged down, I can manipulate the battlefield by doing that. Okay,
so this is a 50-foot by 75-foot courtyard. Okay. So it's a little bit bigger than how they have it in the Manor of Astabar. And the Manor of Astabar, whatever it is they have a rhinoceros. And I was like, not a rhinoceros, and I'm kind of doing this Cthulhu feel for this first, 5, 7 levels. And I'm like, I'm gonna have this kind of this far realmish type beast. But now I kind of like that idea. What I could do is make the monster so incredibly powerful that they have to leave the courtyard, or they have to just try to get to the other side. They get to the manor, right?
Yeah.
So what would you could have a really powerful monster, right? You could have, I like the idea of the terrain. The terrain could start to fall apart.
Yeah. You could, the beast itself could have some strange like stone melding magic. So while they're trying to cross the courtyard, the beast runs, and then it looks like it just runs into a rock, and then it comes out through another side that's near them and charges through them or something.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
So, you could have... it sounds like this is a magic manner. That
Yeah.
it's basically a kid's version of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, where it's like, why would somebody build this?
Yeah,
because
well,
I'm crazy.
So Astabar has a wand of wonder, and he's spent so much time studying it. Blah blah blah. He gets stuck in, I think, the Far Realm or something. It's a
Freaking
pretty
wand
cool
of
idea,
wonder.
and
My
but
players just found a wand of wonder, by the way.
oh really?
Yeah.
See, this one has no usable charges.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's the part I was like, okay, I agree.
But yeah, no, keep going.
So that's a good idea. I could do that. I could have his mouth open and like some Cthulhu tentacles could go out and grab him,
Yeah.
pull them closer because
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
That would be a terrain
Yeah.
effect. You could, yeah. It
I
starts,
could have the walls of the courtyard crumble.
yes,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it would be, so a Wand of Wonder, it's just chaos magic.
Mm-hmm.
You can have like, yeah, this could be a really cool thing where like, if they enter a certain square, reverse gravity or something.
Yeah. Oh, I like
So,
that.
so they're like, oh my gosh, I'm on the ceiling now, guys.
Yeah. Well, there is no ceiling. It's an
yeah.
open
They're
courtyard.
just flying up into the air.
Adios. Like, when do you stop floating?
You just keep going up until you hit a surface and then come back down. What you could do is have like reverse gravity, but dexterity saving throw to grab like a branch of a tree
Yeah.
or a column
Yeah.
or something. I mean, I don't know what the courtyard looks like, but yeah, so it's just for them to
I like that. I like that idea.
and then in a worst case scenario, you're like, I don't want to kill them just because they stepped on the wrong square that
Sure.
they didn't know. What you could have them do is like if they go up far enough, like that takes them basically out of combat. Like
Yeah.
I can't do anything. I'm flying through the air. They go to the top, and then it's basically like Portal where they hit something and then they come out of another angle, and now they're in another spot of the courtyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
interesting.
Those are all like terrain features, and that's what I love about chaos magic.
Yeah.
Is it's like nothing needs to make sense.
Chaos magic is the sense.
The rhinoceros beast from another realm
Yeah.
is now speaking in other languages.
I like that, dude.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, reverse gravity is one of the funniest things that you can do to people.
Well, in an open courtyard, that might just be mean, but I love the idea. That's really, really cool.
Sure. And you can, I mean, yeah, if they're like running and then the reverse gravity starts taking them, but the momentum carries them out of it, then it's just like a quick like, oh my gosh, I just jumped and now I'm way above everybody.
Yeah,
Land.
I
And
like
then
that.
they take like 1d10 fall damage because they only pushed them up 10 feet into the air or something.
I like it.
Yeah, man. You could do that.
Genius.
You could have one of the bushes.
Per usual.
You could have one of the bushes just randomly have like vines go out and start trying to grapple people or chaos magic.
I like that. What would you do if you had the ground fall out from underneath them?
Oh, if there was like a trap where they're falling into a pit or.
Yeah, they could just stay in the pit, I guess.
You could. If it was something where, well, I would throw something probably in the pit so that when they're down
Yeah.
there, suddenly they're like, oh, snakes!
Yeah, I love it.
Like, it doesn't need to be. And it could be something also, they fall into a pit and there's someone in there.
Yeah,
And they've been in there for a while and they're like, oh my gosh, are you here to save me?
yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, who's this random
Yeah.
person?
What? Who are you? I love that. Yeah, because the what's it called was it was an archaeological dig.
Okay.
And they found basically a city, an old township that was forgotten from Old Valoran, and now it's just New Valoran, right?
Oh,
The
okay.
rest of the world is overgrown, forgotten, wild, and every day there's a 10% chance the world gets 10% more dangerous, right? So on a D20 roll, you have
Oh gosh.
right? And so 10 days out, there's a 100% chance that something bad will happen. It's just a matter of what. So anyway, I think that they start digging, and then they realize, oh my goodness, after they kind of had cataloged and done everything, they kept digging, right? And then they found that this was built on top of a much older structure, city, township, hamlet,
Right.
something. And then that's how they kind of come into the Mad Manor of Astabar. So just a couple of tweaks, and it's been a great module. But I love those ideas as far as how to control or make that encounter far more interesting to everybody. I love that. That's a
Yeah.
really, really cool idea, actually.
Well, it sets an interesting tone also, because this is the beginning of it, this courtyard, or it's like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the middle.
Of the ants. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's going to set the tone for it. Then it's immediately anything could happen. Everybody stay close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're just like, well, we were all walking, and I just happened to be last, and the door shut. Now I can't open no more.
Yeah.
Or I opened it, and it was a brick wall.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this will be good.
Yeah,
Genius as usual.
I look forward to hearing about your shenanigans.
Oh, who knows what's going to happen? I'll probably quit.
I'll make all the notes, and then on the day of, it will just fall apart. I'll forget everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll forget my notebook at home or something.
Well, no, you don't even need your notebook.
No, because I just need D&D Beyond. I created a...
Exactly. Which brings us to our sponsors. D&D Beyond. No,
yeah. Will you please? That's good stuff, man. I love that.
Yeah. No, there's no shortage of things you can do. My brother, Caleb, when I was running a game for my brothers, he was playing a wild magic sorcerer, and he was notorious for constantly using tides of fate or tides of chaos or something, which allows a roll on the wild magic surge table.
Yeah.
Now, I took it upon myself to not use the wild magic surge table that was found inside the player's handbook. Instead, I used the net librum of random magical effects. And he had to roll...
Where's that?
1d10,000. There are 10,000 possible things magically that can happen.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The net librum of magical effects. It's free, and somebody made 10,000 random options. That
Net Librum. How you supposed to spell it?
net librum, N-E-T, and then the next
There
word
it
is
is.
librum.
That didn't take long because I was gonna spell something else. Okay. Is it a? Do I download it? What do I do?
I downloaded it, but I think they
Well, it's a
have it also in
PDF.
just list format.
Yeah, there's PDF. It's 84 pages.
Yes.
Single type.
And
Holy crap.
let's say I rolled 7,576.
Well, let me go to page. I'm in 3,000s.
7576. What happens at that point?
7,000. What was it?
576.
7,576. The target's principal weapon turns to silk. That is fantastic.
It's random.
So
And there's some like crazy like this person's gonna die for sure.
Yeah. Target sense of balance has shifted 90 degrees. That sucks.
Yeah. Suddenly
You're like a drunk Ukrainian.
for that I would hand wave and say, because your balance is shifted, you get disadvantage on all attacks and saving
I'm
throws.
walking.
And your speed is halved.
Dexterity, yeah.
Yeah. And for those, I don't make them permanent. I make it so that it's like a 1 minute spell. Like if it doesn't have it specified there. And I mean, that's how I use wild magic, but it made it so much fun.
7,662. The target's shadow rises and walks away. Ah! That's terrifying.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Uh-huh. Staff turns to an umbrella.
But the reverse gravity happened with my brothers when they were doing they were involved in trying to rig a log rolling contest, and my brother was casting wild magic, and he reversed gravity on himself, and so him and 4 other people who were watching the log rolling, suddenly they're like floating towards the surface of the cavern, and they hit the top of it. They're like, "What do we do? What do we do?"
Target staff is replaced by a Winchester 30-06 unloaded. There you go. The target's stomach becomes a bag of holding, dehydrates in 1d4 days. Golly.
Yes.
This is unbelievable.
And somebody took the time to assemble this list of amazing things.
Target's teeth heat to 110 degrees when he or she tells a lie. Oh, man.
And so, like, some of them,
This is great.
when he would roll them, I'd be like, it doesn't appear that anything happens. But then if it's something where there's a condition like, oh, he tells a lie,
Yeah.
I could bring it up later.
Oh, man, this is great.
And you're welcome.
Jeez. One random female nearby is covered in volcanic ash.
Oh gosh.
What? This is the stuff I'm used to. One random female nearby sprouts